Hello, my name's Chubblot, but because we're friends, you can call me Chubblot. Story spoilers, considered by many to be the most egregious form of spoiler in the world. If you don't want to be spoiled for several plot points of Baldur's Gate 3, then may I suggest this video of penguins walking through the snow.
Oh, that's so cute.
In this video, however, we'll be discussing the Nightsong, Halsin's connection to the Shadow Curse, and what lies beyond the current endpoint for early access. This video will contain datamined content and very explicit story spoilers. As always, if you're enjoying this content, please consider subscribing and leaving a like on the video. From information presented in-game, the Nightsong appears to be a powerful artifact that Aradin's ill-fated crew was seeking.
It's called the Nightsong. Supposed to be hidden under the temple where the goblins jumped us.
On behalf of the wizard Leroican. Yeah, that guy.
The names Roland and Leroican will be known far and wide.
Sure, Jan.
And at the mention of the Nightsong, big druid Daddy Halsin was more than willing to abandon his circle despite an influx of refugees and murderous goblins. Which, if we're being honest, doesn't quite add up. Like many of the plot points introduced into early access so far, we haven't got the full picture just yet. Please keep in mind that datamined content is subject to change. Take everything you're about to see with a healthy dose of skepticism. First and foremost, the question isn't what is the Nightsong, but rather who is the Nightsong? Loading in with various models in place of your player's model isn't the most difficult thing in the world. Most of the models you're going to see are already floating around on the internet, but here are a few sort of interesting ones that I've not seen mentioned yet. Gilligan is listed as Duke Apprentice in the game files, suggesting he's, well, an apprentice with some connection to a duke. And then there's this very big boy, listed in the game files as Not for EA, Shadow Cursed Harper Officer. No idea why his model is so massive, but as it's only a placeholder, I assume it doesn't mean much. There are also entries for the Dream People of Origin characters, although all but one loaded in with a basic model for me. The exception was Will's, which is his patron, Mizora. There were also 4 placeholder models for Dream People. And several seem to have unique voice lines for spellcasting. Otherwise, I couldn't figure out what they're going to be used for. Anyway, the one we're here to talk about is the Nightsong. This is the character linked to the Shadow Step ability that I mentioned in my previous video. In fact, she has several unique skills that rely heavily on an apparently unimplemented light check. Some of her abilities are only intended to work in darkness. If these placeholder abilities are anything to go by, I imagine a later fight with the Nightsong could be very gimmicky. I suppose that doesn't really answer the question of
Who is she? Who is she? Who is she? Where did you find her?
So let's hear it in her own words.
Shar is the night singer, and I am her night song. I am her instrument, transforming the faithful into shadows. I drink their sorrow, their loss, their grief, then I vomit it back into the world. I've been here for centuries. Thousands of Sharans came here seeking my kiss. All of them are shadows now. That is Shar's only reward.
And while having a stable career sounds like a pretty good thing at the moment,
I want to sing my own song, not Shar's, not Ketheric's.
the Nightsong hates her job. Sorry, the Nightsong doesn't feel like she's flourishing in the position she currently fills in this organisation. And like any good NPC in an RPG, she has a quest for you, although I'm not too sure HR would be happy with it.
I was captured by Ketheric City, Shar's chosen. He turned me into this creature. Find Ketheric, kill him, so I can be free.
But in times like these, I'm reminded of advice that my grandmother always used to give me. Just because a several hundred-year-old avatar of a dark goddess with the power to turn people into shadows and an epithet that sounds like she made it using a Facebook quiz asks you to do something, doesn't mean you have to do it.
A man chooses. A slave obeys.
She must have been playing the long game with that one. Like with most major questlines in the game, there are several ways to resolve the Nightsong issue. You can choose to kill her, leave her to her fate, or try to free her from the curse. Provided she survives the encounter, you can ask her opinion on your tadpole.
That thing in your head must be incredibly powerful to resist a goddess. Perhaps it's also divine in nature.
And if you play your cards right, it looks like the Lips of Darkness can become a camp follower. What happens if by the time you reach the Nightsong you're feeling especially murder hobo-y? Well, sir and or madam and or other, I have good news. There's an NPC you can meet that wants you to kill the Nightsong. His story is kind of long and there's not really much to show you in game, but please allow me to give you a synopsis of the synopsis. Severin is a necromancer who was trapped in the same temple as the Nightsong after he tried to claim her power. They've been locked in battle ever since, throwing shadows and skeletons at each other with no progress on either side. When the player shows up, Severin sees an opportunity and tries to convince the party to stab the Nightsong with a special dagger that will absorb her power. Severin also has an apprentice, and like any good Sith, the student wants to kill the master. You can choose to help him with this, but Severin is already aware of his student's plot. If you work with Severin, he can try and help out with your tadpole problem, but the slimy bugger creeps him out too much. And I think it's saying something when a necromancer is spooked by a pollywag. But the Nightsong isn't the only interesting character related to Shar. She mentions a man named Ketheric several times. I can't show you the man himself, but I am able to show you his city. If you manage to slip past the cutscene at the current end of Early Access, you'll find yourself in a Dwagar camp referred to in the game files as Ketheric City. The area itself is actually pretty complete, just lacking a bit of polish. Here, assuming you didn't launch him into low orbit, you can meet the windmill gnome and, big surprise, he's in trouble again.
There's 3 gnomes trapped behind these rocks, stuck with a drow. And I suppose you could crush these rocks, when all of us barely made a dent.
You can also meet the infinitely punchable True Soul Nier.
Finally.
As for these defective slaves, they caused the cave-in. Eliminate them.
He grasps your mind and claws it open. Rage floods your senses. You have to kill.
Assuming you help Barker survive his second round of misfortune, you can invite him to join you at your camp.
Certainly not. I'll rest when I've sussed out Wulbren's whereabouts. Ha! I was unlucky twice. The odds of being unlucky a third time are very slim. Then again, a small rest might be prudent. Give me time to think. Show me where to go and I'll try my luck.
In-game, we get several references to Ketheric from books in the Grove, the majority through a fanfiction account of the Fall of Moonrise, written by a druid called Roan Featherway, which features a self-insert character that might give Ebony Darkness Dementia Ravenway a run for her money. But Halsin's writings also mention Ketheric by name, so what connection does Halsin have to Ketheric and to the Shadow Curse?
I'm glad for your help, but I'd hoped you were Halsin.
So I am confusion.
Well, you can ask him why he seems so invested in the curse, but he doesn't really give you a straight answer.
There's hardly anyone left to share the responsibility with. Few who witnessed the fall of Moonrise still draw breath.
So I guess I'll have to do it for him.
I'll do it myself.
One of Halsin's diary entries mentions someone called Isabelle. She was killed by Halsin using the glaive now hidden under the grove. And Isabelle was Ketheric's daughter. Halsin believes that reflexively killing her when she randomly attacked him is what pushed Ketheric to unleash the Shadow Curse. This whole subplot is pretty interesting, as we have clear evidence that part of it changed during development. The file dealing with Isabelle's death notes that Halsin stabbed her with a dagger rather than a glaive. And when you pick up the glaive, the voice line still refers to it as a dagger.
The dagger the druid's notebook mentioned. Its owner thought it was cursed.
The dagger in question is still present in the game files, now named the Dagger of Shar. It's likely that this is the final form of the dagger that you can use to drain the Nightsong's powers. It deals additional necrotic damage to any enemy not standing in sunlight, which makes it a pretty powerful dagger to skulk around the Underdark with, and significantly better than the Sorrow, which does psychic damage to the wielder when they land a hit. Also of note in Ketheric City is this creepy underlying tendril of plot. Someone or something is whispering in the ears of people around the fort. The voice isn't too picky, as it's even speaking to the Deep Prothe.
The voices hiding in the rock. Say go! Go to them! Free us! Free everyone! Take us to the temple? At the temple, there is no whipping, no pain.
Though it has less success with True Soul near.
In the meantime,
The drowse suddenly stops as a whisper envelops you, stealing your breath. For a brief moment, your minds connect, and you feel the true soul shudder. You carefully pick at the shiver, peeling it apart. Fear grips your heart. The whispers just won't stop.
Now, fortunately, or unfortunately, I really don't know which, Isabelle's death was about as permanent as any Marvel character not named Uncle Ben. Several files refer to her still being around, sitting on a tomb and offering players quizzes and milk, as you do, which may explain this line.
Oh, that smell! Is that milk?
It isn't totally clear if the Isabelle in game is the real Isabelle, an apparition, or some sort of undead. But what is clear is that she's in possession of a very powerful weapon, which we'll have to talk about next time. Because now all that's left for me to do is to thank you for watching. So thank you, Esteban Julio Ricardo Montoya de la Rosa Ramirez, for watching. Bye-bye.
go on. We must not dawdle.